Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Wasn't this exciting today? Yeah. Oh, boy. Am I ever glad I showed up? Oh, okay. So, in consideration of today's lecture, it kind of took me all over the place because the standard understanding that I grew up with so far as success and failure didn't seem to be what I was really being moved to capture, to recognize. So I went over it and I went over it and I went over it, and I deleted this, I added that. And it wasn't really until this morning after I got here and was fully cleaned and beautiful and ready to be here, that then, lying there in bed, it just came right into my awareness. So, considering success and failure as being the universe's sources, game twins, I thought about, okay, twins. They don't always look alike, even if they're identical. And they don't always act alike, even if they're identical. As a matter of fact, you might have a twin who is the most perfect child ever. Does everything right, makes you feel good, makes you feel like, oh, I'm so glad I'm the parent of this child. And the other one just goes out of its way to make you feel so uncomfortable. Gives you a challenge all the time. And the other one looks upon the twin with such, you get it. Not exactly saying anything negative about it, but just letting you know, I'm so glad I'm not you. So far as encountering failure as something that I looked down upon or that I was afraid of, I never had that as an experience because I have within me one of the qualities that life is asking us to acquire when we enter into any endeavor where we're wanting to accomplish success, but it isn't happening right away. And you find yourself, what do they call it now? Failing. Not actually succeeding. But you see, I have a determination that I guess made up for smarts, to where I would go ahead and pursue it again and again and again, and I would try to learn from what happened the last time that didn't result in what I wanted this time, to where eventually I developed this sense of, by God, I can do it. And if I can't do it, then I damn sure don't want to do it. But for the most part, I found that if I persisted, I would accomplish the success that I wanted. So it's like others have said many things about success and failure, which I will read you a few just so you know I made use of my notes. Okay. Everybody cool? Okay, great. So there's a distinct relationship between success and failure. So the connection is how we learn from failure and why failure is important. So really, I feel that this needs to be heard because success is often noticed and rewarded. Failure, overlooked, or even punished. Because If you have worked in life, been in life, you know that often you will get the feeling, if you haven't done it right, you're not going to get praise nor encouragement. If you have done it right, well, my God, you're the one that life has been looking for. But you know that the fact is, there are many people in life who we look upon as being super successful. And that wasn't how they started out with life. I'll get to them in a minute. But just to let you know, it isn't all about success, success, success. Failure is not a step backward. It's an excellent stepping stone to success, if that's what you're interested in. To me, I always found that the greatest success that I felt was in being able to do it. Not the praise, not, should I mention this? Not the money. That's not been a reality in my life. Because you see, I've had an attending awareness that life always has, always will take care of me. But that doesn't mean that I haven't gone without money. Why, I can remember living in Golden Gate Park for weeks without any money. And the big deal was to have somebody give me some money that I didn't spend on drugs to go to this corner. It was a fish and chips shop. You could smell it for blocks before you got there. And I'm sure it was just super healthy for me. But my God, did it ever taste great. And sleeping in the park was an experience. And it was one that I didn't get paid to do. And I didn't get any letters from home saying, good for you, you're sleeping in the park. As a matter of fact, they were wondering, why did you go? So I'm just saying to you, I want you to, if you need to, reframe your idea about what success really is. And also, don't let what you've been told about failure to be your attending awareness. Because we all make it the way we make it. And if we are savvy, we're going to listen to guidance. And with guidance, we're going to find that we will get the input that we need for the situation, and not by a standard procedure will it come there. It might be off the wall. It might be entirely different. I remember one time when I applied for a job to be a carpenter, and the guy obviously just wanted somebody to come in and do it, because he said, okay, you're ready? And I said, yeah. He said, okay, here's a plan. I want you to look at this plan, and then I want you to build me a house. And he left. He left. You know how long I stayed with that job? I don't even think it was a day. I think I just looked at it and I thought, this is way out of my league. I'm not going to pretend. I know how to use a hammer. I know how to use a saw. But I have never, ever received how to build a house. So I'm not the guy you're looking for. See, sometimes to admit that you're not the one that someone else is looking for is your success. Because you've taken ownership of what you know in yourself you can and you cannot do. And this will translate in the long run to a much healthier you than if you're always trying to please somebody and many times not knowing what you're doing. So where was I hearing all this? Okay, so meanwhile, back at the lecture. You see, with this idea of failure is not a step backward, but an excellent stepping stone to success, that's a formula that certain people have and companies have. But we never learn to get out of our comfort zone if we don't overcome our fear. a failure. The most progressive companies deliberately seek employees with track records reflecting both failure and success. This is because someone who strives and survives failure has gained invaluable knowledge and the unstoppable perseverance born from overcoming hardship. Now that part I can agree with, because most of us, if not all of us, know hardship will be there to challenge you to learn, to grow, to find out things about yourself, your capabilities, and then also to take a look and see, is this really what I want from me? Is this who I want to become? Of course, back when I was sleeping in the park, and for many years afterwards, I didn't have an inkling of what I'm saying to you right now. But I did have perseverance, which was my ally. So, to succeed, you have to recognize you're taking a chance, that you won't get it right the first time, and that, I even hate to use this word, that if you don't, you're going to fail. But then failing, then I will take it and say, you can learn from your mistakes. And I guess one of the things that is stressed, even though it didn't always happen in my life, don't repeat the same mistake again. Well, some people call it a mistake and others call it a choice. Anyhow, I could go on and ad lib on that one so far, but I'll just leave it with you from that consideration. And that the realization, whatever you do, your determination is going to be the fuel that drives you, that you have to work off of. So that, you're going to get knocked down. Other people are not going to agree with you that what you're doing is the right thing for you to do, but they're not you. And even if it turns out that they were correct, I say to you, don't take that as a failure, but rather look and see, that wasn't where I was then. You could say I was a blockhead and wouldn't listen to you, but look at where I am now. I surely don't consider myself a blockhead right now. But for not listening to you back then, okay. But I moved on from there, and I'm saying to you, so can you. Use failure, if you're going to, as a valuable form of feedback, which can lead to improvement and ultimate success. So, mistakes, hey, they're nothing but opportunities to learn. Right now, I am trying to be able to make ozonated glycerin. I got all the right equipment, so I thought I had it all set up, and it's supposed to be done in 4 days. 7 days later, I'm wondering what's happening here, because it's not happening. So then I went and called the people who made certain things, and I said, mine isn't working that way. So they sent me a new one, and sure enough, that one works the same way. So that was not the solution. So then I paid closer attention, and you see sometimes that's what you have to do. Pay closer attention. And I think now, and notice I'm stepping out on the edge of the cliff. I think now I have found why things won't work. I'll let you know in 4 days. But you see, this is again determination, and you gotta trust yourself. You gotta trust your guidance. Because really, these two twins that life has put together for all of us are there for us to simply learn by. And if you think that success is going to translate into success for you, you might find that in becoming successful at whatever you thought or others thought was the best thing for you to be successful with, not a match. Or you might find that it leads you into a great opportunity later on to even grow more than just being a successful person. So, we tend to minimize the things we can do and the goals we can accomplish. Low sense of self. And for some equally strange reason, we think other people can do things that we cannot. So if you actually choose to go into that in yourself and get honest with yourself, you're probably going to come to some very powerful realizations that will help you move out of that low sense of self into your present day becoming. Because don't forget, that's what this time period is all about, our becoming. Not who we were, not the successes that we had, not the failures that we had, but what we're doing with what life is offering us right now. So now to get back to those famous people who were failures. This was a guy that was really important to me when I was a kid growing up. Walt Disney. He was fired from a newspaper for not being creative enough. And he lost the rights to his first character, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. And who was waiting in the wings? Mickey! And then, of course, Minnie. And then so many others. But did he let that stop him? No. Of course, what his dynasty is now in his name is not who he was then. So what goes on from you after I pass over and I see the gigantic success that the foundation is? Okay. Because that won't be where I am. So you know when you leave here, whatever you leave behind, if you have regrets about it, give it up. And if you're hanging on to some virtuous form of I was a success, give it up. Because I can assure you, your Creator has something waiting you that's going to help you to move beyond where you are right now. Oh, and then the other guy, Steve Jobs. Okay? He was fired from his own company. He was. For being uncontrollable and his projects unviable. And yet these two, as we know, have gone on from there. Now, if they had this concept, this really limited concept of success and failure in their awareness, I think they discarded it so far back down the road that the only things they could see was, what am I going to do next? Who am I now becoming? So everybody got that? Yes. Okay, so then for fun for myself, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you and yet make allowance for their doubting too, if you can dream and not make dreams your master or think, not making thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat these two imposters just the same, then you might be able to tie into the realization success is triumph, disaster is failure. they are imposters. Thank you for your attention.